spaces.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Exchange Fund Producers Info Session. We're happy that you're all here. Here's our quick agenda for today's info session. Of course, a welcome, and then we're going to introduce our team, and we're going to introduce the overall Creative Exchange Fund and the 5 different opportunities. You'll get to see more of the medium and the available spaces for this fund, and then we'll unpack what the Creative Exchange Fund CXF Producers Fund looks like. And then we're going to chat about the eligibility selection process, which is new this year, and then some additional support and resources available to you even after today's Zoom. Jumping right in, here's our team here at the Medium. These are the individuals that you'll be working closely with through the Creative Exchange Fund process, even up to your application process. I'm Amber Paradin. I'm the Artist and Community Manager here. John Wayne Farr is on this call. We're all on this call today. He's our General Manager here at the Medium. Thalia Madewell is our Operations Manager. Cynthia Tran is our Events and Front of House Coordinator. And then Kevin Nguyen is our Back of House and Production Coordinator. About the Creative Exchange Fund. This is an opportunity that is here to support artists, creatives, and cultural organizers with funding and free space to take creative risks at the Medium. With 5 different opportunities, the program helps bring bold and experimental performances, community events, artist residencies, and exhibitions to life at the Medium in downtown Springdale, Arkansas. Where is the Medium? Most of you have probably been through here or driven past, but we are located at 214 South Main Street in Springdale. This is a 25,000 square foot space dedicated to removing barriers between creatives, their work, and their audiences by providing accessible studio, rehearsal, performance, and exhibition space. All of the Creative Exchange Fund projects will take place at this facility. Today, we're going to talk about producers. We have 5 different opportunities for you to apply to, 37 opportunities in total. Today, we're going to chat about producers, which we have 10 of those awards to give out at $2,500 each. Just to clear the air right up front, if I received a Creative Exchange Fund award in the past, can I apply again? Yes. If you've received a CXF opportunity in the past, you're welcome to apply again, but it must be for a different fund than what you have previously received. So if you have received a producer's fund in the past, you are not eligible to reapply, but you're welcome to apply to any of the other opportunities. If you have questions about what that looks like or what that means, please throw that in the chat. I will say this over and over again. The Creative Exchange Fund, because it has 5 different opportunities and each of those opportunities has different nuances, there's a lot to understand and comprehend with this funding opportunity. So no question is silly, no question is stupid. There's a lot to wrap your head around. So please feel free to ask your questions in the chat or DM Thalia if you want to remain anonymous. I'm going to go over some stuff today, but I want to reiterate that most of this information lives on our website. I'm going to kind of walk you through what that looks like so you can know how to access this information even whenever when you get off this Zoom today. First things first, at the bottom, this is a screenshot from our website. At the bottom left-hand corner, you can see where the pink hand is pointing. If you click that, it will translate our entire site into Spanish if you need that. Our website is themedium.art. And at the top right corner is our menu. If you click that, it will look like this. And then if you click programs, it will give you a list of all of our exciting programs here at the Medium. But to learn more about the Creative Exchange Fund, click there on Creative Exchange Fund. And it will take you to a page that has a list of all the opportunities, our frequently asked questions, our timeline. It will have links to all of our info sessions for you to watch, um, and a way to contact us. But if you hover over producers, you can click that and it will take you to the producers page. And there's a lot of information on this page as well. After today, we will link, probably by the end of today, that button right there that says 2025 Producers Info Session will have a link to our recorded session so you can rewatch. Okay, let's unpack it. Producers, 10 awards, $2,500 each. The Producers Fund supports innovative, community-engaged events organized by individuals or organizations. The Medium Campus serves as a launch pad for event producers to generate greater social and artistic impact. Producers is looking to fund innovative, community-engaged events. A little bit more details. The discipline for this, we kind of break down the disciplines for each of the funds. For this one, it's pretty interdisciplinary. We're pretty open to what this can look like. The spaces that you might occupy at the medium may include the black box, the main hall, or the stage. And I'll show you what those look like in just a moment. And you'll have up to 1 week to bring your project to life. Here's a little bit more about the projects and when they'll take place. Producers get up to 1 week in the medium's black box, main hall, or stage. And while we assign the space based on our calendar, the time you get is all yours. However, public or forward-facing events must be scheduled on the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday of your assigned work period. So you'll get a week at the medium, but your program must take place on that Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. That's new for this year. Something to keep in mind is that the medium is a space that's available to the community to rent, and to each of you as well. And so we have a lot of programs on our calendar, including the Creative Exchange Fund and all of the dynamic programs that come with it. And so some of you have heard me say this, we call it calendar calculus on the back end. We're trying to plug in a really conscious calendar that keeps in mind everybody's needs and space requirements. If you have questions about that, please let us know. Here's a little bit about the eligibility for the producers. You must be at least 18 years old to apply. Practicing artists, groups of artists, nonprofit arts and culture organizations, and for-profit creative entities are eligible to apply. Applicants do not need to be Arkansas residents. However, at least 50% of the featured talent, vendors, and staff must be contracted within Arkansas. And if you've previously received the Producers Award, you may not reapply for this fund, but you can apply to a different fund. Let us know what questions that brings up for you. On our website, we also have an archive of all of the previous recipients, and you can click through and read what their project descriptions were, what they did here. We also have links to some of them had videos done during their program. We have that linked on our YouTube page. All of that's on our website. But this is a really great place to start when you're thinking about what types of programs we're looking to host here, what types of programs we have hosted here. We're pretty open to what that could look like. If you click around on this page, Love More Records, they launched their brand and their Love More Records launch party they had here. That was fun. It was musical acts. The Chinyellos have performed here. That's a dance program, and they did a small exhibition. Big Sister Studio, that's what the image is here on the left. She did a huge performance and fashion event on the stage. It doesn't have to be a huge event like that. It can be a very small, intimate program. As long as the community is invited to attend, we're open to it. Here's what you'll get from us. We will help schedule and coordinate your event setup and sound check for the day before or the day of your show. We will set up the stage and chairs accordingly if this is something that your program needs. And we will assist you with the use of in-house equipment, lighting, sound, etc. And I'll tell you more about that on the next slide. We will provide technical assistance for the evening of your performance if it's needed. And then we'll help ensure that each event offers a professional experience for both the performers and the audience. I haven't said this out loud yet, but applications open April 17th and close May 5th. So it's a small window to get your applications in. So please start thinking about those now and drafting those now. The medium will provide the following equipment. We have what we call our basic tech package, which is a couple of microphones and DI boxes. Kevin and John can tell you more about what the heck those are. A loudspeaker, a projector and a screen, lighting, and cabling. We also have chairs, tables, and linens that will come available to you at no additional cost. And then based on availability, we also have a portable stage. It comes in 4 foot by 4 foot panels, and I believe we have 16 of those panels, depending on what your program is and if it requires a stage. And we also have a baby grand and an upright piano that you're welcome to request. And we will have that tuned for you if you need it. These are things you'll just need to make sure and communicate with us on the front end as early as you can so we can make sure we reserve that again because we have a lot of moving parts here at the medium. So if there's a small chance someone may have already reserved that before you. So the sooner you communicate, the better. And then of course, you're also welcome to bring your own equipment to supplement your program, which we often see, especially with musicians or musical acts. Here's a snapshot of the spaces at the medium that's available to the producers. We have the stage, the black box, and the main hall. Again, depending on your program, depending on when your program happens, and when the availability of these different spaces are open, we will plug your event into one of these spaces. And we'll certainly take in consideration what you're hoping to see happen as well, but flexibility is key. Feel free to screenshot any of these pages as well if you need. Next up, I just have a few snapshots of some spaces that are available to you and what they look like. This was a dance performance that took place on the stage. This was another dance performance on the stage. It's a pretty large stage. Here's what a crowd can look like in the black box. Here's another angle of the black box. It has a wooden floor, black walls, black ceiling, track lighting. It's approximately 40 by 40 foot square. Here's another musical event. You can kind of see the stage panels here in the image. Those are set up. And the projector screen. And the loudspeaker in the back. Can you see my cursor? I don't know if you can see that. And then here's our main hall. Here's that Love More Records event that took place. And so we set up the stage in the main hall and created a vibe in there. So we're happy to accommodate and help set the tone for your event based on your vision. Something that we love to share with you all is that you get to keep 100% of ticket sales if you choose to do that. You don't have to ticket your event. It can totally be free and open to the community, or you could charge a ticket fee to get in. If you choose to do that, you will manage those ticket sales. We don't have a box office here at the Medium, and we don't manage that. but you're welcome to keep any sales from your event, whether that's art, merchandise, tickets, etc. You keep 100% of that, but you also manage 100% of that. If you have questions about that or any parameters, let us know. Okay, new this year, evaluation and selection process. The producers and the mixtape music series are going through a different process this year, which we're calling the eligibility selection process. And this is for fairness and accessibility. Platform, residencies, and spectra will continue to be reviewed by a panel based on different weighted criteria. We're not going to go over that for this particular session. What is the eligibility selection process? For mixtape and producers, applications will go through an eligibility review instead of a full scoring process. That means that staff will simply check to make sure each application meets the basic requirements for your specific fund, like confirming that you're a real person, you're not a robot, you didn't accidentally submit duplicate applications, and that your project fits within the guidelines. Before you start the full application, you'll fill out a short eligibility form. Unlike the other CXF opportunities that go through a merit-based panel review where applications are scored and ranked, these two are just about confirming eligibility and there's no scoring involved. I know this might raise questions for each of you. Please ask us in the chat or save your questions for the end and we can go over more of what that looks like. What makes a strong application? If your application clearly explains what you want to do, why it matters, and how you'll make it happen, you're gonna do well. We're looking for bold, creative risks, projects that push boundaries, try new ideas, or engage the community in fresh ways. We also prioritize first-time grant recipients and projects that impact Northwest Arkansas. A great application includes a realistic plan, timeline, budget, collaborators, and supporting materials, past work, sketches, or links to bring your vision to life. Keep it clear, specific, and passionate. To elaborate even further on that, be specific in your application. Clearly outline your project's goals, your process, and your expected outcomes. And remember, it can be big or small. It doesn't have to be big and showy. It can also be a powerful, intimate gathering that you're planning. Explain the creative risk. Show how the project pushes artistic boundaries. And we'll talk more about creative risks in just a minute. Describe the impact your project might have. Explain how the benefits, how the project benefits the artist, local artists, or the community. Show readiness. A strong application includes a budget, timeline, and execution plan that shows us that you're ready to jump in and do it. And then provide quality supporting materials. Work samples should be relevant and compelling. Who is checking eligibility? This will just be reviewed by our staff, the medium team and cash staff, just to make sure your project is eligible before it goes through the eligibility selection process. Just to reiterate, a strong application clearly describes your project, its impact, and how you will execute it successfully. This is something we talk a lot about through the Creative Exchange Fund, and it's sort of the taproot of what the Creative Exchange Fund is about. We are all about creative exploration and risk-taking. Here's what that means for us. Creative exploration is trying new ideas or techniques that help an artist grow and push their creativity. An example of that could be that an oil painter applies for the medium artist residencies and wants to try digital art for the first time. They propose creating a series of digital paintings and want to host an open studio where they show both their process and final work, sharing what they learned with the community. Risk-taking is the act of stepping into the unknown by experimenting, reaching new audiences, or collaborating in ways that may not have a guaranteed outcome. An example of this is a spoken word artist applies for the platform fund. They want to collaborate with a musician and a dance group to create a live show mixing poetry, music, and projected art. Since they've never worked together before, they're unsure how it will turn out, but they propose taking the risk to create something new and share it with a combined audience. So sometimes risk taking shows up in your collaborations, expanding on who you've worked with in the past or what you're trying to do with your project is a little bit more experimental. Please ask questions about what that looks like. This is an important component of your application. Risk taking is something that we will take a close look at. We want to see artists expanding. And this parameter is also rooted in, if I like to think of, I'm a visual artist, and so I think of if I were to have a visual art show, maybe I've shown the same paintings at 3 different locations. And so I wouldn't necessarily propose the same exhibition or the same project here. I would want to add in another layer of interest that makes it a little bit of a risk for me, that expands my creative practice. Let us know if you have questions about that. This is a screenshot from our webpage. We have a lot of frequently asked questions that we continue to add to on our website. We put these here to help with transparency with this program, but also to help you feel very confident in walking into your application process. So please take some time clicking through these FAQs and studying them so you can really wrap your head around the fullness of the Creative Exchange Fund. We've already gone over this question that's clicked here, but if you've received a CXF award in the past, can I apply again? Yes, just to a different fund. Here's a few other of those questions. Can I use other spaces at the Medium that aren't included in my fund? Yes, you can. Whatever space you are assigned to, that is your space. You don't have to pay for it. It comes with your Creative Exchange Fund opportunity. Which is a beautiful thing with this granting opportunity, is that you get free space and money to pull off your ideas. But if you want to use additional space outside of that, you're welcome to chat with us. You'll be working closely with Thalia and figuring out if you can rent or pay for an additional space. And we will work closely with you. We make sure that the medium remains accessible and affordable. So keep that in mind. Don't be scared to ask how much it might cost to use an additional space, but please know that you will need to work closely with us to make sure that that gets locked in for you. How will the medium promote my project or event? You will be responsible for marketing and promoting your event, but we're happy to help amplify your work. We will not be creating promotional materials for you, so please plan accordingly. If you send us promotional materials ahead of time, we'll share them through Cash and the Medium's channels as best as we can. We're excited about your projects, and so we'll work hard to push them out on our newsletter and our Instagram. But please know it's on you to do the bulk of the marketing and create flyers, etc. We've already covered this, but can I sell tickets or art at my CXF event? Yes, you can sell tickets for your event, except for the mixtape music series, because that is a free music series that we offer. But for producers, yes, you're welcome to sell tickets, art, merchandise, etc., and keep 100% of the sales. When will the artist funds be distributed? We will issue a grant agreement and contract, and once that's signed, we pay all of our recipients upfront. So it's on you to manage that money and hold on to it. Projects will begin in August of this year and run through 2026. And so if you get your money this summer and your project's not until next summer, you may need to stick that in a savings account and pretend like it's not there. When will the applicants be notified? Everyone will be notified by June 11th, whether you were selected or not. How will I know when my CXF project will take place? Each of the funds have work periods listed in the application. Platform and producers will have pre-assigned public event date options on Friday, Saturday, or Sundays during your work period. When you apply, you will be asked to pick your preferred dates, and we strongly encourage you to select as many options as possible. The more dates you choose, the better your chance of getting one that works. While we can't guarantee specific dates, we'll do our best to fit your project into the schedule. Since CXF is planned alongside other events and over 30 Creative Exchange Fund projects, flexibility is key. If your project is funded, you will get your confirmed dates when you receive your contract. And those cannot be shifted unless there are extreme cases. Are there other commitments to this program? Yes, if you are selected, you will be asked to attend a virtual meet and greet on Tuesday, July 15th. And that will be for everyone to show up and tell us a snapshot of what your program is. Again, here's a screenshot from themedium.art/CXF on our webpage. This button right here where the pink hand is pointing is where the apply button will live. So right now it says applications open April 17th, 2025. On April 17th, that will turn into an apply now button. And that's where you will go to begin your application. In addition to all of the info sessions that we're offering for each of the funds, you will also have a moment, an opportunity to meet with one of our staff members for one-on-one support. So you'll be able to book a 30-minute session with one of the Medium staff members to chat about anything that you'd like about your project, whether you want to tell us what your project is and if it's a good fit, whether you are halfway through or all the way through your application and you're about to hit submit, but you just want to bounce some ideas off of someone before you do that. This is a great opportunity to do that. The registration for that will open on April 21st. And here's a small screenshot from our website where the pink hand is pointing. There's a timeline on our webpage, and on that timeline, the one-on-one sessions are listed, and you can click there and it will take you to a Calendly link, and you can book a one-on-one session with one of us. And depending on what your needs are, if you want to talk about visual art or general event production, you'll probably meet with myself or Cynthia. If you have a music event or something that requires more technical support, probably Kevin or John would be your go-to person. But you're welcome to email us and ask questions beforehand as well. And here's our email address on the screen, cxf@cashcreate.org. Okay, we blew through that. I blew through that. Now is your opportunity to ask questions. Thalia, please stay on mute. Thalia will ask the questions for you. Feel free to keep putting your questions in the chat or DMing Thalia if you want to stay anonymous.
Hey,
Thalia?
everyone. Yeah, really, really, really great questions in the chat. I'm going to start talking. So, Cynthia, why don't you hop in the chat and try to type out some answers as questions continue to roll in. I'm going to go through just like out loud what's already been mentioned in the chat. So if you're watching this recording later, you can hear these beautiful questions. First of all, we talked about the work period for projects. So this Creative Exchange Fund projects will kick off in August of this year, and they're going to run through October of 2026. Each individual project will have its own work period, which is assigned by medium staff based on that calendar calculus that Amber mentioned. So we have all of these 33 Creative Exchange Fund projects, and we have a lot of other things happening in the space too. So we have to like make that all mesh together. So your work period is a very, very, very important component of your project. Um, when you fill out your application at the very bottom of it, it'll ask you what work periods you're available or you're interested um, in doing. We encourage you to select as many of those as possible, just because it makes our job a little bit easier trying to fit so many things going on in this building. Um, New this year for producers projects will have up to 1 week in their assigned space. If you want to use all 7 of those days, great. If you have a one-off event that's ready to roll, and that's all you need to do, that's also great. But your public facing events, which again, that is the producers fund, it is engaging the community in some sort of event, will need to take place on the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday of your assigned work period. And you'll be notified of your work period when you receive your contract. Um, Important too to look at the spaces associated with each fund. There was a question in the chat about displays. I can see a producer's project having some sort of display component. However, producers projects do not have access to the walls in the main hall. So you would need to get creative on how you would want to present those whatever display you had associated with your project, whether that's bringing in easels or something like that. And we would also you'd also need to get with staff and just like make sure that we can accommodate that. That may be like a project by project conversation and would be great to discuss in a one-on-one, which open on April 21st. We do have a kitchen. Somebody asked about a kitchen. In our first Creative Exchange Fund iteration, we actually did have a food experience as a project. So that would be cool. If you need a kitchen, we got a kitchen. Quickly, again, that eligibility selection process, that's new this year. We're excited about that. Our goal in sharing this resource that we have, which is space, and giving you some money to pay yourself to do your things, is to get to the yes. We want to get to the yes. We know you guys have great ideas, and we want to fund them, and we want to give you space to do them in. Thinking about that eligibility selection process, I think an easy way to think about that is to frame it in a context of this particular fund, Producers Fund, and the Mixtape Fund this year are not merit-based. So whereas the other 3 funds are going to be literally scored by a panel, and that score is important and you want a high score, the producers projects and the projects aren't subject to that same process this year. It will be triple vetted for eligibility. So it'll go through an eligibility review instead of like a full scoring process. And that is just to make sure that the application meets the basic requirements of the fund. Are you a real person? You're not submitting a duplicate. Does your project meet the guidelines? Um, and then that's what producers and mixtape projects get to go through this year. It is still important that you provide as many details as you can in your application. Somebody asked about collaborators. If you know the team that you're going to be incorporating into your project, that's awesome. And that just helps paint a better picture of your project and ultimately helps us help you. Um, the more details you have, the more service we can provide to help bring that vision to life. Um, Risk-taking and creative exploration are the ethos of the medium. That is who we are, and that's why for those paneled projects, that's why that scoring is so heavily weighted. Um, Amber shared, or I shared in the chat, a kind of a definition of what those two things mean. I think an easy way to think through that is like creative exploration is growing your own skills, and risk taking is more of that. There's not a guaranteed result. So like stepping outside of your comfort zone. Um, Other good question, how funds can be used. I dropped that in the chat as well. We really want you to pay yourself and we want you to pay your collaborators. Please make sure that you include that on your application. You can also use funds to pay for materials and supplies related to your project, travel costs, any contractors that you hire. If you want to use some of those funds to rent additional space at the medium as it is available, that is an appropriate use of funds. Marketing and outreach, we will do our best to promote your event, but certainly if you want to grow that, use that money for that as well. Really the only thing that funds can't be used for is like permanent equipment. We call that capital expenditure. So you can't go out and buy a new MacBook Pro. You can't, get the newest iPhone or whatever. But other than that, we trust where you putting your money where it needs to go. And do you have to report on how you use these funds? No, you don't. In fact, the report that will be due for this fund is really just an assessment that we want you to fill out at the end of the program. We will ask you, like, did you have enough money to pay your collaborators, or did you have enough money to pull off your project? But we're not asking for receipts on how you spent your funds. We try to have a really trust-based economy here at the Medium. We trust you. I see Cynthia's hands a-flying in the chat. Is there anything else, Amber, that's popped up that we need to talk about so the people watching the recordings can hear all these good questions too?
Yeah, thanks for blowing through this, Thalia. And Cynthia, thanks for pouncing on the chat. There's a question about alcohol being served during the event. Who wants to answer that?
I think Cynthia should come off mute and answer that one. This is a very, very common question. We get this question not only with Creative Exchange Fund things, but with what we call external rentals. Cynthia, can you unmute and just real quick give the lowdown on that?
Yes, I can. I was actually just typing away, but I'm happy to just answer it quickly. So as far as alcohol being served, it is approved with like prior approvals. So if you plan on having alcohol on site, you typically would have to send a request to us at the medium, and then we'll walk you through the process of how to obtain a temporary alcohol license through the alcohol beverage and control. Or you could also hire a caterer or vendor or bartender that already has that license in hand. That usually is the easiest and quickest way for you to do that rather than personally applying, because that process could take months, and then usually they would have to come on site, meet you in person, yada yada. So it's always best to just hire a third-party contractor that already has that license. The third option that you could also explore is a donation based. And so if you're not collecting sales or proceeds from the alcoholic beverages, then you're able to serve alcohol on site and do donation based, where people would donate a certain amount for the beverages. However, regardless of any option that you take, you will need volunteers on site in order to provide ID checking and making sure that everyone's 21 and over, and for us to be able to identify those who are not of age to drink, so that way we can be able to just discern that for legal reasons and liability. And so I think that really covers it all. Let me know if you have any other questions about that.
Yeah, and feel free, anybody, to email cxf@cashcreate.org if you want to drill down on any of these things that may be more specific to what you have in mind for your project. I also see in the chat questions about the capacity of the spaces associated with the Producers Fund. Cynthia's done a good job of typing those out. So for those of you on this meeting, you can scroll up and look at that, or all of those capacity of all of our spaces you can find online on our website. And I'll drop that link in the chat too. It's just themedium.art backspace space, and it'll be under our facility why am I blanking? Facility Rex or whatever it's called. But that all of that is available, and that facility information also gives a lot more details about the size of the space, even down to like how many outlets are on the wall.
We just had someone walk in. This is Thalia's day job. Y'all are asking great questions in the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much for engaging. There was a question about collaborators. I'm trying to find it again, but I thought that was a good question that we could expand on, because I think that where is it? I'm scrolling the chat. Well, anyway, collaborators. So you don't have to necessarily, we would like for you, I mean, for your application, you can totally list out who your collaborators are. We do ask that you respectfully, let me use an example. If I were to apply and I have been dreaming of working with an organization, and I've never interacted with them, and then I list that I'm going to do an entire project with them, and I've never told them that, that's a little bit sticky. So we'd ask that you work with collaborators that you know or that you have a relationship with. Do not just list people on your project that you're hoping to work with and have never even contacted them, because you know what I mean? Then that makes your application look fantastic. And then on the other side, once you get it, if you've never interacted with them, maybe they're busy that weekend and they can't actually do it. And so just respectfully have a conversation with them if you're going to list them on your application. And we understand things happen. Maybe they said they could and then they wind up not being able to. We're flexible and we'll work with you to connect you with some others if we need to.
Yeah, and you don't have to have collaborators. Like for the Spectra funds, the inside and outside, those have to involve a certain amount of collaborators in those projects. Producers doesn't have that requirement. So if it's just you, if you're a one-person show, that's great. You don't have to have any collaborators. I
Any other
also was
questions?
able to find the facility specs, and that link is in the chat, and it's online for those of you watching the recording. Facility specs.
Any other questions? Anyone have any specific scenarios they want to spell out and get questions about? This is a great time to do that. We have 9 minutes. Well,
Can I just add here too? Did we talk about at the top of this about how cool the Producers Fund actually is? Um, this is the Creative Exchange Fund's third iteration. It's the third time that we have ran this program. And in my opinion, the Producers Fund is probably the coolest because it can be in like the producers fund is just a container for literally almost anything. Like I said, we've had dance, we've had food experiences, we've had an art swap, we've had poetry readings. Like you think of it, the producers has held that work. And so I get most excited to see what people want to propose for a producer's project.
Okay. Well, this may be the end of our info session. If you would like to, if you think of a question once you get off of here, please feel free to email us. I'll put the email back on the screen, cxf@cashcreate.org, or you can email any of us individually. It's just our first name and @cashcreate.org, except for John, his is JWP. But we're here for you. We want this to be easy for you. We've tried to make the application as simple as we can. This team has worked really hard to comb through that application and refine it and make it something that we hope you will look at it and feel inspired to complete it. Because we understand grants are hard and it's vulnerable. It's hard to put yourself out there. So please take advantage of the one-on-ones beginning April 21st. Those are such a great opportunity to connect with us further and to get your questions answered or just email us. If you've never been to the Medium before and you'd like to see the spaces, you're welcome to pop in. We are here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 5, and usually on weekends whenever there's public events happening. But that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame is a great time to just flow through if you'd like to and see the space. Why are you guys laughing? Because I talk
Thank
too
you
much.
all for taking time, 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Good job, everybody. Hope to see you maybe at other info sessions later this week. Thanks so much.